Yeah, I mean, we were lucky enough to meet with a number of our payments customers and customers of customers, and I'll back up what I said on this being the year of the stable. So by the end of this year, you're going to see a number of people launch payment cards. You're going to see a number of people launching Web3 banking projects, and we've been in this sort of hesitance for a while caused by Gensler, and now that that's gone, it's like a weight lifted off everyone's shoulders, and everybody just wants to go.
Welcome back to Only the Savvy. I'm Nicole, and today we're thrilled to have Adam Lowe, the Chief Product Innovation Officer of Arculus, joining us today.
Great to be here.
Thank you for being here. Arculus has been making waves in the crypto storage and security space with its innovation solutions. Adam, thank you again for being here today.
Yep, no problem.
Absolutely. To kick things off, can you share a little about your background and what inspired you to take on this role at Arculus?
Sure. So I've been with CompoSecure, which is Arculus's parent, for about 11 years. And CompoSecure is a big company you've never heard of. So it makes almost every metal card in the world. So if you have a Metal Amex card or Chase card or Capital One card, we make them. And we developed a tech to make the tap to pay in metal cards work, and a lot of the tech that goes on payment chips. So prior to that, I was in defense. And so I've spent a lot of years of my life developing tech that keeps people safe. So with that and kind of a personal passion for digital assets and digital identity, I thought, people walk around with our payment cards in their pockets and they can be doing so much more, right? So every payment chip, every little chip that sits in your card really is an underutilized cryptography engine. And so given my personal passion for crypto, I said, why don't we take that chip that everybody has, everybody knows how to use. Let's add elliptic curve tech that makes blockchain magic work, and create a hardware signer. So that's what we did a few years ago with Arculus. Is we took that same payment card tech that's trusted by the largest banks in the world. To my knowledge, we're the first people to add elliptic curve payment tech to that, and then now it's also a hardware signer. So people walk around with our cards in their pockets that are, a payment card, a full HD wallet, and a hardware signer for platforms on the FIDO standard. So YubiKey in your pocket, all in one.
Wow. So your journey from bio nanotechnology to blockchain security is truly intriguing. Can you walk us through the founding story of Arculus and how your diverse background of what you just provided to us with work in the US defense and intelligence communities ultimately shaped what we have today as Arculus and the three-factor authentication?
Sure. So my background is an interesting story, I guess. A lot of people, I think, just like to work on diverse things and work on interesting things. So I did study bio-nanotech in grad school. That is what my PhD is in. But really it was kind of biomaterials and biosciences. So, I was looking at things like if I take nanoparticles and I put proteins or DNA on them and then shoot lasers at them, what can I detect? And that sort of biodetection is what led me into defense. And defense, I did things like, well, if I take these nanoparticles and I tag something with them, how can I detect them? How can I use these diverse materials and the way they interact to, create different things that the defense needs? So a long time ago when Compo was small, and we were creating metal cards and growing metal cards, we had all of these diverse materials. So all of that background in diverse materials and nanomaterials really helped as we were creating these new form factors for the payments industry, as well as some of the background I had from my defense days just in cryptography and security and et cetera. So that sort of all came together along with my personal interests to help create Arculus. And so, that was 3 years ago or so. And that really is the founding story of, taking what we had at Compo, which was a fantastic story, and, creating a digital asset and digital identity platform that we could continue to grow the business, keep people safe, which is very important to me, and lead that next generation of payments, which I absolutely believe will be on chain, and that's not a dream. That happens today with our cards and point of sale technology and everything else we're working on.
Absolutely. So, what were some of the initial challenges you faced in developing a next gen digital security platform, and how did you overcome them?
Sure. So I think the first thing that was a challenge for everybody is just getting a user experience that people like. So there's other hardware wallets out there that are, glorified USB sticks that are very challenging for people to use. So we wanted to do something that was very easy. So we have something called the Adam's Mom rule, where if my mom can't do it without any coaching, then it's too hard. So, many releases, I literally hand my mom my phone and I say, go play with it. And she has to be able to do it herself. So, by leveraging that card form factor that everybody has in their pockets and everybody is used to, you just take away a lot of that complexity. Crypto and Web3 can be a complex space. So, we give someone something that they're used to every day. So, the same way Visa has taught people to tap and pay around the world, we've taught people to tap to transact, whether that be an identity or in web payments.
I definitely can vouch that your Adam Mom Tap test works because I gifted this card to my father and he just cannot stop raving about how seamless and easy it is to use. So, users, everyone watching this, it truly is like a very remarkable product and very easy to use.
Thank you.
Going into that, security is a paramount in the crypto world. Can you explain what sets Arculus apart from other storage solutions that we're currently seeing, and particularly your three-factor authentication system?
Sure, that's a great question. So first, Arculus uses a secure element. So the same secure chip that are in banking cards, billions of them around the world that have never been hacked or broken. We use that same Java card secure element platform to secure and hold the keys. So it's really important to use a secure element and not just a generic chip. Other products have not used secure elements and have had their RAM breached or keys broken into or otherwise extracted. So that's a problem. So by design, we're using that same sort of passport technology, grade technology to keep your keys safe. In fact, the same chip that's in an Arculus card is the same chip that's in the United States passport. So 3FA, so depth of defense is very important. So first is something you have. So that's your card. Your card syncs to your phone. So your phone will only talk to your card. So that's something you have. Something you are. So your device biometric, right, where you're doing that authentication through the secure element on your phone. And then something you know, which is your PIN. So that's the secure element on the card. So again, you have those depth of defense and methods. We're doing three different things. And we have depth of defense and location. So biometric on the phone, PIN on the card. So that depth of defense in two dimensions is extremely important and done by design.
Wow. So, jumping into some recent news, we've been seeing just last week after ETH Denver the recent collaboration between MetaMask and Visa, which has been making waves in the industry. How do you see this impacting the broader crypto landscape? And are there similar opportunities for Arculus as well? There we go, right there.
Yeah, so the same way that CompoSecure or Parent white labels things for some of the largest banks in the world, we're happy to partner with some fantastic brands like MetaMask across the Web3 space. So, Arculus has been white labeled a number of times. MetaMask has allowed us to talk about this one. Sometimes we don't get to talk about it. So we're extremely excited to partner with them and bring them this functionality across their platform. Arculus consumer product already works and signs for their browser extension. And as people are able to get their hands on these beautiful cards, I think people are going to be very excited. It really allows you to spread your digital assets in the real world, right? You can take this card and go to your favorite store and anywhere MasterCard's accepted, it will spend, and it will also let you secure your digital assets. You know, Tom Deletto, my head of product, and I always talk about, we have this vision of kind of the Web3 Johnny Walker, right? So it's a person that's a global traveler. You have those digital assets, and it's anything in, anything out. So right now we're talking about stables, but I believe in the future here, you're going to have your favorite digital asset. You're going to have some store of value. Uh, your merchant's going to want some other store of value, and we're going to have a smart order router, DEX, centralized exchange, whatever works. and exchange those values in real time. And that's the magic of the blockchain and the magic of Web3. And we're not that far off. Arculus already has working point of sale terminal examples that take direct Web3 payments. So we support the Web2 chains. That's going to be around for a long time, Visa, MasterCard. And we also support full Web3 transactions. So, Arculus finds itself at that really important switching point in the railroad where we support all the things.
Wow. Do you foresee more traditional financial institutes partnering with crypto companies, and how might this affect Arculus's strategy?
That's a great question. So you had, Brian from Bank of America the other day saying they're going to issue a stablecoin. You're going to see, especially with the administration change, I think a lot more traditional finance pushing into the Web3 space and blockchain space. I think the the really good banks will figure out where they win and what they're good at, and they'll do some combination of buying people and partnering with people. I don't think most of the successful ones will try to build it from the ground up. They're just not well structured to do that. But I do think you're going to see a lot more traditional platforms either partnering or buying Web3 assets to make sure that they gain this part of the market.
Wow. Well, meme coins, they've been everywhere lately. It's the new popular thing. They've seen a huge resurgence. So, with even public figures creating their own coins like Trump and Milei, what's your take on this trend, and how does it affect the broader crypto ecosystem?
Yeah, it's an interesting trend. I didn't think that they would get the resurgence that they did, so I've been a bit surprised by that. People, it's their money; they're going to do what they want to do. For it's made some people an incredible amount of money, and it's lost some people an incredible amount of money. So I think it's a space that you obviously need to be careful about, and we're there to support people in their decisions. So one of the most important things I think about blockchain is that it's permissionless, right? I have my keys. I don't need to ask anyone what I want to do. I just go do it. So I think that's some of the magic. So Arculus is all about choice. So in the same way that we support almost every major blockchain on the planet, we support people's decisions they make as a grown up. And if they want to go invest in meme coins, awesome. If you don't, also awesome. So we give you, your keys to the kingdom, and you go do what you want to do.
Absolutely. How does Arculus adapt to these security measures to protect others investing in these type of volatile assets?
Sure. So, Arculus core concept really gives us a lot of functionality. And what I mean by that is, right, the UI is where it belongs on the phone, and the keys are where they belong in your pocket. And everything is rendered locally. So all of the UI is rendered client side on the phone. And then the keys, like I said, are in my pocket. So what's important is, as an example, in the Bybit hack, that was able to happen because they rendered that client side. It was rendered up in the server. And they were able to inject a man in the middle attack. Something like that can't happen on Arculus because all of that's generated client side in the phone, which is how a security product should be. So, there it's just that type of thoughtful thing, and always putting security first and putting the customer first that keeps us ahead.
Absolutely. So another thing right now are stablecoins. They're playing an increasingly significant role in the crypto economy, with transaction volume surpassing the traditional payment networks. How does Arculus address the needs to securely store these assets?
Sure. So in the same way that we keep all of the keys for all the assets, we have the keys that would support stablecoins. I think what's really important and where Arculus wins is that because of our payments heritage, we're really well positioned to lead this pack. So as I mentioned, the MetaMask card and other cards that we do, right? It has full payments capability, has full wallet capability. And so whether you're doing a stablecoin transaction on Web2, Visa, MasterCard, or directly on chain, we can support all of that. I think 2025 is going to be the year of stables. You're seeing them being issued. You're seeing usage go up. You're seeing places like Anchorage Digital, who I have a lot of friends at, just grow leaps and bounds. So, I think it's going to be huge. It's going to be a big year for Circle, big year for Paxos, and we're going to see. But yeah, this year's the year of the stables.
Oh, yeah. Do you see stablecoins as a bridge between traditional finance and crypto? And how might this impact Arculus's product development?
Yeah, so I do think it is often a bridge. I mean, it's a great way to get liquidity coming out of a non-traditional digital asset into a fiat-backed digital asset like a stable. So it is a very important bridge. It's a very important sector for commerce, and it allows to get more commerce on chain and in real time and addressable. So, whether it's the Stripe acquisition of Bridge, or others, I think you're going to see a continued push in the space. And like I mentioned, Arculus is incredibly well positioned to address that need.
Great. So you recently attended ETH Denver, which was last week, I believe,
Yep.
which embraces a multi-chain future this year. Can you share some highlights that you saw and explain why events like this are important for this industry?
Yeah, I mean, the industry is still quite nascent. I mean, crypto moves at an incredible pace, but it's still pretty new. And events like ETH Denver are really important, not just for business, but to get builders together. So, I liken digital assets in this era to sort of the 1890s often, right? It's the big railroad era, it's the industrial revolution era, and we're going through a similar era with Web3 and payments and a number of things that it touches. So here we're getting a bit of revolution, and we're still laying down the tracks. And why I like the analogy is when railroads were first being built, everybody picked a different gauge, so not everything interoperated. And we're still going through some of that. So you're seeing what chains are going to interoperate, what can you bridge, what can you seamlessly do, how can you make it easier for users, and on and on and on. So, I think that's the evolution we're going through now. So places like ETH Denver are great where builders can innovate. We're talking about how to directly interact with contract things like the paymaster so people don't have to use gas and they can just send tokens, and we can get that next block of users that are less interested in how it works and just want it to work.
Absolutely. Were there any specific discussions or anything that you took away from ETH Denver that really kind of left an impact on you?
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky enough to meet with a number of our payments customers and customers of customers, and I'll back up what I said on this being the year of the stable. So by the end of this year, you're going to see a number of people launch payment cards. You're going to see a number of people launching Web3 banking projects. And, we've been in this sort of hesitance for a while caused by Gensler. And now that that's gone, it's like a weight lifted off everyone's shoulders and everybody just wants to go. So it was really exciting to get together with friends and see everybody in just that forward movement of absolutely going, building, and deploying.
That's super exciting to finally have that shift. Layer 2 rollups and alternative data availability solutions were hot topics also at ETH Denver. How is Arculus preparing for these technological advancements in the Ethereum ecosystem?
Sure, that's a great question. So Arculus already supports a large number of L2s. So whether they're ZK rollups or optimistic rollups, Arculus supports them and is excited for them. I think where they're going to have to continue to compete is some of the L1s that are natively extremely fast. So if you look at things like Sui or Solana, they're outcompeting EVM L2s on a lot of fronts. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic and interplay of EVM L2s versus some of the new chains like Sui. So it's been an interesting discussion, interesting dynamic. But we support them. We've supported them a long time. So Arculus is ready to rock on any of the L2s. I think what's really interesting relative to the L2s is actually some of the layer zero stuff. So whether it be layer zero, the company, or Wormhole, or any of the things that are trying to take the assets and natively kind of do the bridge and lock at a layer beneath the L1, I actually think that's a really interesting opportunity.
So, speaking with all of these L2s, do you see these developments as potential game changers for crypto security? And if so, how?
Sure. I think the biggest security thing that's happening in L2s from people like Starknet and others that have native ZK capability on the chain. So that gives us some opportunities to cryptographically prove something without giving away information. So you can do a zero knowledge proof on some of these L2s more conveniently that allow essentially batch signatures that allow you to roll that up and efficiently deploy. So I think that on the security side for the L2 is probably the most interesting thing going on is some of the native ZK proof and ZK rollups.
Wow. Arculus recently integrated with Providence Blockchain. Can you tell us more about this collaboration and how it enhances your offerings?
Sure. So, Provenance is a fantastic group of guys and team. We know a lot of them over there. They have some great relationships in both capital markets as well as tokenomics. So they've announced some really interesting tokens on the chain lately around yield-bearing tokens and things like that for both institutional and individuals. So I think tapping into that market, figure markets, et cetera, has been really interesting. We're good friends with the Ondo Finance people. Uh, you know, I think it's a very important part of the ecosystem around yield-bearing tokenomics that Arculus is happy to be a part of.
It's very exciting. Are there other blockchain integrations on the horizon for Arculus right now?
Sure. We're always, doing not just new chains, but upgrades to chains. Cardano recently went through the drep delegation update. So we patched that and added that very quickly. There's a number of L2s coming out and some new EVMs that we'll be adding. So things like Monad, Berachain are certainly on our radar. And as soon as they go mainnet, they're on our radar to be added. We added Aptos and we were at that launch event. We've done quite a bit with Sui. So, we're trying to roughly stay aligned with consumer interest and coin market cap so that we're capturing all of the value that we can for consumers. We randomly get requests for this and that here and there, but we do try to be first on certain things, especially during the last administration where there was a lot of crackdown. We never delisted Ripple, or other people delisted Ripple. We never delisted it. There's some other examples. We've done a lot of first with HBAR. So for Hedera, we were one of the first hardware wallets to support Hedera token services and a few other things. So we've done a number of firsts in the hardware wallet space.
Wow. With the growing focus on environmental concerns right now in crypto, how does Arculus approach sustainability in its products and operations?
Sure, that's a great question. In its operations, as an example, Arculus and its parent are carbon neutral. So we buy carbon offsets to make sure that the company as a whole is carbon neutral, which is challenging for a manufacturer, but we invest in that. All of the steel that goes into our metal Arculus cards is post-consumer recycled. So, we're actually diverting metal and other things that would have gone into landfills and recycling that and putting it into the card. So the company as a whole is very green initiative and focused. We have ISO 14000 certification, which is the environmental ISO standard. We have a number of environmental standards on the card side of the business from MasterCard and others. So being green and caring for our planet is very important to Arculus and its parent.
Absolutely. Are there any specific initiatives or technologies you're exploring to make crypto storage more environmentally friendly?
Sure. So I think, we're trying to partner with people that have that on their mind. So, our product and the core key storage of itself is a very light and small environmental impact. The largest environmental impact clearly is things like Bitcoin mining and others. There, I think the industry is doing a lot of interesting cogen, meaning that, you mine, you produce heat, and then you do something with the heat instead of just blowing it outside or trying to get rid of it. So anybody that's doing anything interesting there, we're happy to partner with, but Arculus's environmental impact is quite light.
That's great to hear. Education right now seems extremely important and also crucial for the aspect of crypto adoption. What role does Arculus play in educating users about blockchain technology and crypto security?
Sure. So we try to educate users a bit, sort of the first steps into crypto. Usually by the time someone finds us, they're past that, hey, what is crypto phase? So we focus a lot on educating around security, concept of not your keys, not your crypto. You don't want to be last in line as a creditor when a centralized exchange goes bankrupt. We focus a lot around what a recovery phrase is, never giving it to anyone, how to properly store it, all of those concepts. Don't back it up in the cloud. There's 9 million backup schemes that are awful. Don't do them. Even products that are legit and meant to be good have just been breached innumerable times. So we try to be really thoughtful and educate consumers on why we think we have a better mousetrap.
Absolutely. Can you share an example of how your educational initiatives have made a tangible impact on users' behavior or adoption?
Sure. So we think, on our social team, on Reddit and a few other platforms, I think getting access to a real person in real time has been very helpful to answer people's questions because it lets them educate themselves in real time. Where a lot of other places, you're putting in a ticket and you may get an answer eventually somewhere. One of the core tenets of Arculus, and it goes back to the Adam's mom principle, is a real person. So you will very, very, very quickly get to a real person when you contact Arculus support or engage with Arculus on a social platform like Reddit. So, that is to me a tangible example of where someone had a question, we're able to inform them in real time and allow them to help make a decision. Because again, crypto is all about decision. People are grown-ups and they need to have that informed data to decide for themselves.
Absolutely. Do your own research. It's very huge with that in this industry. So we've seen an increase with regulatory scrutiny in the crypto space and regulatory changes in the crypto space. How is Arculus preparing for potential changes, particularly regarding hardware wallets?
Sure. So one thing I often get asked is, do you KYC? No, we do not KYC. Anyone can buy an Arculus wallet. We do not associate anyone with the wallet, meaning if Joe or Jane Smith buy a wallet, I have no idea what wallet that is by design. So there's no physical way for me to ever connect a purchase with a given wallet address. I have no idea who it is by design, nor do I want to. So no matter what piece of paper I am served, there is no way for me to physically identify anyone.
Wow, that's really great to hear right here regarding this hardware wallet. Do you? Oh, keep going.
Okay.
I was just going to say, do you see regulation as a potential barrier or an opportunity for your company?
I think it's an opportunity. So there was so much regulatory unclarity for a long time that people were reluctant. Even us, we had a very limited buy swap set because we're the parents publicly traded. We had to be very careful about what we facilitated in terms of buy or swap directly in the platform. Obviously, someone could wallet connect to their favorite DEX and do whatever they wanted to do, but in terms of like in platform, it was a fairly limited list. So now that we're getting regulatory clarity, we're going to be opening up the floodgates and turning on everything. So we're really excited about that, to be able to offer more things in platform and make it convenient for users relative to buy and swap. So that clarity is allowing a lot of people to deploy more initiatives, and it brings in some of those larger players where large banks would have never touched digital assets. In prior administrations, now you see people progressing. So I think the regulation in many examples is an opportunity. You just have to know how to tread the waters correctly.
So, looking ahead, what exciting innovations or developments are on the horizon for Arculus?
Sure. So I think, just in addition to the hardware wallet that we're known for, or, the sort of passkey technology on the card that we're also known for, we're really excited to be continuing to dive deeper into Web3 payments. So I mentioned that point of sale terminal. We've shown in real time payments. Like everybody sort of hand waves it or mocks it up. So at both Solana event and the Aptos event, we showed that we could take a point of sale terminal, generate a sale. So $5 of whatever, right? Here's a coffee. Put in $5, hit go. And instead of terrible QR codes, which I don't like that experience, you take your Arculus card, tap, do a native Web3 payment, and you're done. So in the same way you're done in seconds in the grocery store, you tap, the card signs the transaction, USDC moves on chain, and you're done in seconds. So in the same way that we've taught everybody how to tap and pay at Visa or MasterCard, we're going to teach people how to tap and pay on Web3 rails. So that already works. That's not imaginary. It works today. So now we're working with partners on how to bring it to everybody.
Wow. And my last question here for you, how do these align with your vision for the future of cryptocurrency security and adoption?
Yeah, so I think it gets back to that the same way most people don't, because they're not in the industry, think about how their credit card works or anything else. It just is part of their life. We're eventually here in the next few years, it's just going to be part of people's lives where I have assets, I tap and pay, I get the goods and services that I need, and I move on with my life. And it's going to be my job and other people in the industry to make all those rails seamless. So for now, they're not. And we're still working through that. But blockchain at the end of the day is faster, cheaper, better. And that's going to drive the business. And that's where we're going to be in a few years. So I'm excited to continue to work on that. And at the end of the day, make people's lives better and more secure.
Absolutely. Adam, thank you for sharing your insights with us today. Before we wrap up, is there any final advice you'd like to give to our audience about navigating the world of cryptocurrency securely, and also where they can find you and learn more information about Arculus and yourself?
Thank you. So so you can find a wealth of information about Arculus and digital assets in general at getarculus.com. You can also find us on all our socials at This Is Arculus. If you have a business thing, the LinkedIn's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. And then general advice, it sounds almost trite, but I've said not your keys, not your crypto for a number of years. I'm not going to change it. So that is the biggest advice I can give everyone is whether it's us or somebody else, have your keys, maintain your keys. Don't let it live on your phone because so many people have been drained. So the keys need to be offline, cold, in your pocket. If I hope with us, but if not with us, with somebody. So that's the best advice I can give people.
Adam, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. It's been a pleasure to hear your perspectives on the evolving blockchain and crypto space, especially having you from Arculus, which is just making waves in the space right now. To our audience listening, make sure to check the description because we have all of those links that Adam just provided for you so you're able to seek more information on Arculus and maybe purchase it. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found this insightful. And as always, stay curious, stay informed, and stay savvy. We'll see you next time.
SIM swap fraud is sweeping the globe, and your mobile security is at risk. Switch to Efani and lock out SIM swap fraud and get the most elite mobile protection in the world. Efani guarantees 100% protection from SIM swaps backed by a $5 million insurance policy. Stay secure with reliable coverage, free international roaming, and unlimited data. Trust Efani to keep your communications and assets secure. Get military-grade protection, 24/7 concierge service, and a hassle-free upgrade. Click the link below for $150 off. Thanks for watching. Help support this channel and receive exclusive offers from one of our partners located in the description. We'll see you on the next one.